Hello, everybody, and good morning. I know my PCS Coffee Talks, they usually happen at 9 o'clock on Thursdays, and this is happening now at 8 o'clock. And so here is the deal. Making sure things are streaming and shared. Um, we live in an area that got hit by all of the snow and ice that happened what are we at now? 2 weeks ago. So my kids had 7 snow days. They had a 2 hour delay yesterday, and they have a 2 hour delay today. So if I waited and did this at the normal time at 9 o'clock, you'd be joining me in the car pickup line, or I'd be doing this late. And so rather than either of those options, I decided to just jump on before I get my kids off to school while they're still getting cleaned up and ready upstairs, and to get this done and to share and talk about all of the things. So if you guys are preparing for a PCS this year, I would love for you guys to drop it in the comments. Have you guys received your orders yet? Are you guys going Oconus? Are you staying Conus? Are you excited about your move? Are you dreading it? I'd love to know where you're kind of at in that process. So a couple things that I wanted to jump on and talk about today. Number one, we are in the PCS Purge. We are almost through the first week. We are on day 5, tackling our leftover food storage containers, our Tupperware. And so I would love to hear if you guys are participating in that PCS Purge. How is it going for you? What struggles you may be having? Anything that you've got about the PCS Purge. The idea behind it is, one, we get rid of the things that we don't need during this process, right? Things that have just gathered in the closets, on the shelves, things that we haven't touched, things that we haven't used, things that no longer serve a purpose, clothes that don't fit. And that way, by the time we come to our PCS, you're not worrying about if you're going to meet your weight allowance, if you're going to be over, because you've taken this time ahead of time to prep and prepare and to get rid of those things you don't need. Doing a purge now, so we always end up doing a purge before and after a move. Doing a purge before means it's less stuff that you have to deal with and that you have to unpack and think about and figure out where to put it on your destination end when you receive your household goods. Of course, you're probably going to unpack stuff and be like, I really don't need this. Let's put it off to the side and get rid of it. Doing the purge now means it's less stuff you have to think about on that other end. Additionally, with the purge is that if you save all of that stuff, put it in a pile in the corner of your garage of what you are pulling out of your cabinets and your closets and all of that. Once the weather gets a little bit warm, especially here in Virginia, once it gets warmer, April, May, have a good yard sale. And that way, then you can get rid of that stuff. And then you've got, some extra PCS cash that you guys can use. Splurge a little bit on the nicer hotel, splurge and do the Great Wolf Lodge, give your kids something to look forward to, find a museum along the way. But that way you've got just a little bit of extra cash on hand should you need it for your PCS. So that's, two of the reasons behind doing that PCS purge is that we get rid of stuff now that we don't need, and then we make a little bit of that extra cash. So if you're doing the purge, if you're participating with us, I'd love to see in the comments, how that's all going for you. And again, we break this down over the entire month of February. We are focusing on one spot a day, so that way it doesn't feel so overwhelming. So you don't think like, man, I've got to do a good spring clean. I got to get through my house and everything in 1 week. And then you get halfway through and you feel tired and defeated and you give up. We're focusing on one spot a day so that way it doesn't feel overwhelming, and we're tackling little things at a time. So we started day 1 with the junk drawer. Something small, easy, get it done. You feel like you've accomplished something. We did our cookware. One day to just pull out your pots and pans and see what you use. One day for our bakeware. And then today, like I said, is our leftover storage Tupperware containers. One thing at a time, one thing a day, so that way you can be able to focus on it and not feel overwhelmed with all of the things. Now, yes, as we get further into it and we start looking at our clothes, it may take a little bit longer than the 10, 15, 20 minutes it may take you now, but It's one thing a day. You're not feeling like you have to do it all at once. And I love your comment in here, Paulette, that you are knee deep in the purge process. I know you guys are going to be moving next month. I'm going to be driving up to see you, checking in on your move, seeing how it goes. Um, and yeah, the one drawer a day is your system. Not overwhelming, but a little progress at a time. And that is the big goal of it, is that a little bit each day, it adds up. And by the end of the month, you've done your house. If you miss a day and you're one day behind, it's not overwhelming. It's like, okay, I can go back and do it. But it's 28 days of purging one thing at a time. We can do this. So let's see here. The next thing, the new personal property activity. So since our last coffee talk, it's come out about this new organization, and that is essentially going to be replacing Transcom in our PCS process, right? So it's going to be called a personal property activity. Essentially, Transcom is losing the function of managing our personal property relocation program. That is shifting over to this new personal property activity. It is standing up as a brand new headquarters located at Scott Air Force Base. The idea behind removing it from Transcom and putting it as its own thing is to be able to have better accountability and control tracking of the process. So right now, when we look at it, the Air Force has their own shipping offices and their own military claims office. The Army has their own shipping offices and military claims offices. Every branch has their own shipping office, has their own claims office. And so when there's an issue, and we see a lot of times at joint locations, if you're Army and you're at an Air Force location with a joint assignment, that a lot of times it's hard to get answers. It's hard to get the information that you need because you're one branch at a different branch's location. And you're told a lot of times, like, well, you have to contact your branch for that. And then it's hard and it's difficult. So what's happening under this new directive with the new personal property activity is that all of those shipping offices and claims offices are going to reflag as Department of War offices. So no longer is there going to be just a Army claims office. It's going to be a Department of War office. It's no longer just going to be a Navy shipping office. It's going to be a Department of War shipping office. Doing this means that the commander, who's been tasked to General Curtis, is that he is going to be able to have oversight on all shipping offices. He is going to have oversight on all the claims offices. So if there is an issue, if you have to file a congressional for some reason, if you have to do an ICE complaint on something for some reason, it's going to go to the personal property activity. They'll be able to look at it. They'll be able to track it. They'll be able to step in and do what they can to rectify the situation. Right now, when there is issues, Transcom has no oversight of that. It has to go to the Army. It has to go to the Navy. It has to go to the Air Force. So now it's all going to be consolidated under one house to have that better accountability, that better tracking, that better oversight. I am cautiously optimistic, excited about it. Just like everything, just like GHC, it all briefs well on paper. It is a completely different ball game once we get to the execution phase. And so what we're going to see a lot is that people are going to clock out on Friday as a Department of Navy civilian working at the military claims office, and they're going to clock in on Monday as a Department of War civilian at the now Department of War personal property activity claims office. So it's going to be a lot of the same people doing a lot of the same things that they're doing right now. And so knowing some of those people, it makes me a little, I don't know, cautiously optimistic. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if the oversight and the accountability that this office is supposed to have actually happens. We'll see how that goes, if they actually work for the families and not just for themselves or the TSPs, or if there's another contract down the road that they're not working just for them. That was one of the biggest things that we saw with GHC with that contract, is that it felt like Transcom was very buddy with the contract holder. which again, there should always be a good working relationship. It felt like it was a little bit more than that with that contract. If you remember to last year and how everything kind of unfolded and happened last year. So hopefully we see this new office, this new personal property activity, kind of work in favor more for our military families, actually provide the oversight and accountability that our families uh, need, and that that it is a good change. I really hope that it is, but like I said, I will remain cautiously optimistic until we start seeing that execution. The timeline currently is that they're to be stood up with everything starting May 1st, but they're not going to be fully operational until fiscal year 27. So end of September, beginning of October. Um, they'll work on transitioning systems over to them, all of that stuff. Ideally, it should be kind of seamless and transparent to us. The same process of setting up our move is going to be the same. That's not changing. It's not a new system, new contract like what we saw last year with GHC. Everything is basically remaining the same. It's just instead of it being Transcom, it's now going to be the personal property activity. Phone numbers might stay the same. They might change. But essentially, the process of things is going to remain the same. So it's not like we're going to be learning something new. But again, we will see how that goes. Let's see here. The next thing, so government shutdown, that is over for at least now for the majority of our service families. The Department of Homeland Security, which our Coast Guard families fall under, is on a 2-week continuing resolution. It's not quite 2 weeks, but until February 13th, continuing resolution while they figure out funding for them. We're not getting into all the details and the politics behind that. However, that means if you're a Coast Guard family, you may see some impact to your move. If you already have orders, if you're already scheduled, if you're already in progress, you should continue. Your move is already funded the moment that you get official orders in hand. If you are waiting on those official orders, you might see a delay in those orders just because they can't issue orders if there isn't funding available, and they can't do that until the spending bills pass. So we'll keep an eye on that for our Coast Guard families, but just know if you're a Coast Guard family and you are currently, you're supposed to move and you're waiting on orders, they might be delayed with depending on how this budget spending bill stuff goes with the Department of Homeland Security. But again, we'll keep an eye on that. And then the last thing for today, guys, is just preparing for peak season. It is coming very quickly. We are already in February. May 15th kicks off peak season. Usually May 15th to July 15th is usually like the heart of peak season. We see it trickle into late July, early August, depending on what's happening. But usually those first 8 weeks after starting May 15th is usually the heart of peak season. So if you guys are preparing for that, there's, and again, if you're waiting on orders, there's a lot of other preparation planning you can do. You can start determining what it is that you are moving with you in either your suitcases or your car. You can start researching housing, researching schools, jobs, medical, whatever it is. You can start doing all of that research. So as soon as you get orders, you can be like in go mode and you're not behind the curve and trying to do the research then. If you have your orders already, get on DPS and get your move set up now. So if you're moving May 15th, those rates are not out yet. They're not going to be out until like mid to late March. Okay. But you want your move sitting in the queue to be assigned a move company for when they get those rates in, you're there in the queue. They assign companies based off of how the shipments are received in the queue. They don't do a query to find out like the soonest report date and assign that way. They do it by the order in which the shipments are put into the system. So if you have your orders now, if you're not moving until June, like don't think, oh, we have time to figure it out. Get your move set up now. If you need to adjust your dates later, you can always go back in and adjust them, but get your move set up now so it's sitting there in the queue. If you're planning to do a PPM, you need to set your move up as a PPM and DPS as well. You got to tell the military how you plan to move. Okay, so get your move set up as a PPM. Again, if you're planning for May 15th or after, you are going to see an estimated incentive payment currently that says $0. Again, it's because the rates are not in the system yet. So once the rates get in there, you'll see that populate, you'll see that update, but you can go ahead and get your move set up there. If you're planning a partial PPM, you need to set up 2 shipments. One will be your household goods, and then one will be your PPM to account for your partial PPM shipment as well. But as soon as you get your orders, it's very important that you guys get into the system, get your move set up, have it there, have it waiting there. You can always go back and update things later. You don't need a delivery address to set up your shipment. That's always one of the biggest questions we get. You don't need a delivery address. You can put in the gaining installation in the state. So you can say Fort Belvoir, Virginia. You can say NAS, Jacksonville, Florida. And then you can update with a physical address once you get the address to wherever it is you're living. So you can get your move set up without even having your address. Okay, so just start preparing now what you can for PCS season while you are either got your orders, things are set up, and you can start doing all the prep stuff. Or if you're waiting on orders, do your prep stuff, do your research, and then, get your move set up as soon as you get those orders too. So yeah, I'm just going through here, making sure there's any questions in the chat. Yeah, already answered your question, Paulette. Me and you are very good about being on the same wavelength for things. So if you guys got questions later, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll come back and I'll check this again. But I just wanted to get on here again. I know it's early because my kids are on a 2-hour delay from all the snow and ice that's hit through us. We get up to the warm temperatures during the day, and then everything melts, and then it refreezes overnight. And then because of the ice, the buses can't get through. And I didn't want to do this in the car parking drop-off line, and I didn't want to do this late and have people wondering where is it at. So if you're showing up at 9, this is already here and waiting for you. But if you guys got anything, just let us know. Happy to dig in, answer, help you with whatever it is that it may be. And if you guys are having a PCS, I hope it's a smooth move. I hope it's a good experience. And if you need help or assistance, just reach out, let us know. And otherwise, join us again in 2 weeks for the next Coffee Talk. We're going to have a guest on the next Coffee Talk, and I'm really excited about it. When I started the idea of this Coffee Talk, the idea was to not have guests. It was supposed to be these short little chats about things. But I had a friend reach out asking about it. And so she's going to join us next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back here. So until then, y'all have a great day.